And WENY Political Analyst Dr. Jim Twombly joining us today to talk about the Supreme Court is wrapping up its term, Jim, that's ending quickly, and as usual, they are starting to announce decisions pretty quickly as they prepare for their summer break. Before announcing decisions in 3 cases today, the court had entered the week with 10 cases left to announce, and they now have 7 left to announce before the end of the week. So, Jim, what's been notable about some of these recent decisions? What significant cases are still left, and why all of this activity at the end of the term?
I'm going to start with your last question first. The Supreme Court, in some ways, is like a graduate class that has been assigned multiple group projects. They got the easiest ones done pretty early on and left the tough ones till the end. Imagine you had to write a 50 or 60-page paper on different topics several times a month, but you had to get a majority of the rest of the class to agree with your argument first. Now imagine that you still had to work with your classmates for the remainder of your career or your life. That task then lends itself to some procrastination and to a great deal of back and forth over the legal arguments and the wording.
Okay, and now, so what are some of the more notable decisions that have come out the past couple of weeks?
Well, on June 8th, there was the decision in Allen v. Milligan, which was the Voting Rights Act case in Alabama. There were certain provisions of Section 2 that prohibited limitations on the right to vote based on race. And that's a rather significant decision. The decision is forcing that state and perhaps others to redraw congressional district lines, likely creating a second majority-minority district in Alabama. In Texas v. United States, the court ruled that Texas and Louisiana did not have the standing to sue the federal government over specific arrest and deportation of migrants rules. They didn't rule on the policy, just that the states couldn't bring the suit. The other was Haaland versus Brackeen, in which the court upheld the Indian Child Welfare Act that seeks to correct historic mistreatment of Native Americans by preferring adoption within tribes or at least within Native American culture over adoption by non-natives.
Okay, and I'm guessing today's big decision is the North Carolina redistricting case.
Yes, Moore v. Harper. We've talked about the legal theory behind this case on a few occasions. It's the so-called independent state legislature theory. It argues that because the Constitution refers to legislatures choosing certain electoral mechanisms, the drawing of district lines, how electors are chosen, and so on, that redistricting commissions, appeals to state courts, and appeals to federal courts are all unconstitutional intrusions into the rights of those state legislatures. The court rejected that theory by a 6-3 vote, with 2 of the 3 dissenters being Thomas and Alito, joined by Gorsuch. Meaning that Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh joined Roberts and the liberals to make up the majority. This decision is a serious loss for some Trump supporters who were looking to Republican-controlled state legislatures in some swing states to tilt the 2024 election in Trump's favor if he were in fact the nominee. But it was also a win for those who want voting to actually matter. Okay,
and then lastly, there's a couple more decisions to come out this week. What ones do you think are the most significant?
I think there are a couple of them here. Later this week, we should get the decisions involving affirmative action and college admissions, Biden's student loan forgiveness program, and a case pitting LGBTQ rights against the freedom of speech of artists in businesses.
Okay, all right, Jim, thank you very much.
My pleasure.